Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing great, Max. How about yourself?
I am doing great. Caden, we got a little bit of an interesting episode today.
That is very true.
All right, guys, here's the layout. We're going to bring it down to you right from the start. Of course, we got our NFL stuff we're going to talk about. Now, college football. Only like 2 bowl games this weekend, whatever. We ain't worrying about it. We got some future stuff we're going to hint on a little bit. And then we're going to wrap it up with just a little bit of the crazy stuff that's gone on in MLB free agency. But Caden, first NFL game, what is it?
Our first NFL game is your Denver Broncos. Surprisingly, none of the morning games this week are that great, so we're talking about all afternoon and primetime games this week.
It's all good.
Starting off, your Broncos are home against the Colts, where the Broncos are a 4.5-point favorite.
Caden, this is the biggest game for the Denver Broncos since Super Bowl 50, and I don't think it's been comparable. Just the magnitude of what the outcome of a win or a loss determines for the season. With the win, it's about 91% chance of making the playoffs. With the loss, it drops down to I think it's 34. Or it's something ridiculous.
Okay.
It is a big swing if the Broncos lose this game. This is an absolute must-win if they want
to. It's a must-win for the Colts, too.
And I was just going to say, but on the flip side, the Colts are going to be starving. But the fact that this is in Denver at Mile High, the way that defense has been rocking and rolling, I think the crowd's going to be juiced up because they've been rocking the last couple weeks, kid. I think all of that, and I think Denver's just a better team than the Colts. I think it shapes up for them being able to cover the spread pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, both teams coming off a bye, so you should have 2 fresh teams in this game. But yeah, I mean, you never know what you're going to get week in, week out with Anthony Richardson.
No, you do not.
He could have that pretty good game he had against the Jets a couple weeks ago, or he could have those games where he's 6 of 19 for 87 yards.
Which we're hoping he has against that tough.
Which I could definitely see him. Yeah, I mean, we did see Jameis torch him for 500 yards, but
Jameis also threw 2 pick sixes. Okay.
But yeah, no, I do agree with you. The Broncos should be able to lean on Bo Nix, who's looking, seems like better and better each week.
Of course.
That connection with Cortland's just growing. Big game out of him could be really help. And as long as the Broncos can just have, I think, a little bit of a run game. Obviously, they're not a great running team by any means.
Not even top 20.
But if they can just have a little resemblance of a run game in this game, I think it'll help them a lot, be able to control time of possession a little bit more. Get the win, get the cover, come out looking good for that Thursday night game against the Chargers.
Love it, Caden.
Our next game, though, is really the big game of the day. You have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Detroit to face the Lions, where the Lions are a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Caden, the Lions being 2.5 is kind of interesting to me, just knowing how tough Josh Allen has been with that Buffalo Bills team. These are 2 teams who are top 2 in their conference, and the Lions being not number 2. I think they're the best team in the NFC now. You got the Bills, who are, I think, probably the best team in the AFC. I think they're better than the Chiefs, regardless of standings.
I would agree.
As a team.
As a straight-up team, I would agree.
But regardless,
the Bills don't know to win the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, Caden, the premier matchup of this weekend that I'm excited to look forward to. I think the Bills are going to find a way to surprise people and get a victory, Caden, is just the feeling I have. So I'm going to take the Bills against that close little spread there.
Yeah, I feel like this game easily should have been a primetime game.
I don't know how they didn't get flexed or moved or
exactly.
anything, considering the season both teams are having, which is just ridiculous.
Also, even before the season, they're both projected to be really good football teams.
We knew this was going to be a great game. Yeah.
In the afternoon, though, it's so cool. You get it, in the Dome in Detroit, where when you play in a dome, that's where Jared Goff thrives.
It's a huge advantage.
He plays so just astronomically better when you put him inside a dome. And that really bodes well for this just explosive offense. I'm going to go with you, though. I do see a way where the Bills can win this game. Josh Allen's been playing incredible this year. James Cook's been great. A lot of the receivers have been playing really good. I still think, though, I'm going to lean with the home team in this game. With Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Jameer, David Montgomery.
It's a deep team.
Their offense is so good. Obviously, they have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I could see this kind of being like that Bills-Rams game last week. I don't know if I'd say that high scoring because that was insane how high scoring that football game was. But I really could see this being a high scoring, kind of shootout affair. But with the Lions ended up covering the 2.
I definitely can. Either way you slice it, Caden, this game's going to be electric. Looking forward to this one for sure.
And a more disappointing game in the afternoon slate is my New England Patriots, who are traveling to Arizona to face the Cardinals, where the Cardinals are a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah, 5.5 points against this Cardinals team, who's still, trying to scratch and claw their way into a playoff appearance, right, in the NFC. Obviously, they're kind of far back in the division now with, the Rams who just took a victory. That's going to help propel them.
Yep.
And the Seahawks. But nonetheless, they are still technically alive for the hunt.
Yeah.
So they need this victory bad. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. are going to need to be on the same page. But I think they just have enough with Trey McBride, and the inconsistencies of the offense is enough to beat a bad Patriots team.
Yeah, the Patriots team's definitely bad. I'd expect another good game out of James Conner. I could see him getting up there in the yards, like 70, 80 plus.
And, shout out James Conner real quick, because he's kind of had a career resurgence
in Arizona these last couple of years, for sure. Yeah, and in this game, I could see him having a good 80-plus rushing yards. Kyler, this has been the Patriots' big Achilles heel. I mean, obviously their defense has been really bad, but they're really their big Achilles heel with the defense is they can't contain mobile quarterbacks.
No,
so little tiny toddler Kyler Murray, I could see having a nice game with his legs. I don't know exactly how well or effective he'll be in the air, because some games the Patriots can stop the pass attack. Other games they'll let Matt Stafford go for 304 tutties, no picks. But coming off a bye with the way Drake May's playing better each and every week, I don't think they're going to win this game. I think this is a great win, good win for the Cardinals in this one. I think 5.5 might be a little high. I see the Cardinals winning by more like that field goal 4 or 5 point range.
So you like the Patriots cover?
I do think I'm going to take the Patriots to cover this one. I think it'll stay close, stay within that less than a touchdown score the whole time.
I think you guys get blown out.
I can also. I very well can see that happening
for sure.
But now though, let's get to our primetime games, where Sunday night is a good football game.
Oh, it's gonna be
Sunday night's a good football game. We got the Green Bay Packers traveling to Seattle to face the Seahawks, where the Packers are a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, Kane. And for some reason, the Packers and Seahawks play, something weird always happens, especially on primetime. Yep. These games, so for some reason, these two franchises know how to play each other. Mm-hmm. It's electric. It's always exciting. As much as I hate the fact that we're not seeing Lions, Bills in the Sunday night slot,
it is a great game.
At least it's a great game. So that makes it, a heck of a lot better. But this Packers team, Caden, I've been really big on. As much as that Seahawks defense has been playing really good these last few weeks, since week 9, they've really increased and almost flipped their complete trajectory 180 from where they started. I think Jordan Love in that Packers offense would be a little too much. I think Matt LaFleur is going to have a couple more plays just to catch that Seahawks defense off guard with their, first-year head coach. And I think it's just one that the Packers find a way to win, even if it's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, this should be a really good game. Two teams, Packers are not only trying to stay in the wild card, they're basically out of the division, but they want to keep control.
Yeah, they need
of this wild card, stay in the playoff. Seahawks too, they're trying to get in the playoffs. Hold the division, yeah, especially because, like you said, the Rams just got that win on Thursday Night Football. So this should be a great primetime game. Everything, something weird always happens. Kenneth Walker didn't practice again today, so it's looking like it might be another Zach Charbonnet-led rushing attack for Seattle, which, last week was great for them. But even with the inconsistencies I'd say we've seen out of Jordan Love this year, their offense is still really good, whether it be Josh Jacobs, who's been a seamless fit in this offense. They're finally using more of second-year tight end Tucker Kraft, who's a really good tight end. And seeing him finally get more involved in the offense, I think has been really big for this offense. I think, kind of like you're saying, even if it is an ugly game, the Packers are going to find a way to get this win and cover.
Most definitely.
We got 2 stupid Monday night football games. I thought we were done with this, Megs.
We've talked about how much we hate the Monday night and the way they stagger them, and you can't even watch 2 games if you wanted to, and it's really a bad show. But either way, Kate, we have to talk about these.
Yeah, so our first game, so this is a weird spread in my eyes before I even say it. Falcons at Raiders, Falcons by 4.
Yeah, 4 is a gross line.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think the Raiders even cover that. I think the Raiders
agree.
Are in full tank mode at this point. I think the Raiders want Shedeur Sanders.
I would agree.
Bad Raiders. Stay away. But that being said, I don't think they have any incentive to win at this point in their season. And I think regardless of what Antonio Pierce or the front office might say, just lose, baby, is the motto of the Raiders right now.
The Raiders are not a good football team. Aiden O'Connell's not a good quarterback. They have Brock Bowers, which is great.
It's Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, and nothing.
Exactly. And the Falcons are still fighting in that horrible NFC South. They still can win that division.
With, we just saw the 6-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers still leading that right now.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's so close.
They can easily still win this division, especially now that the Saints are going to be basically a free win the rest of the year without Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
So this should be a nice, easy win. I think 4 is way too low of a number.
I agree.
I think, Raiders want to lose. They want to get that top 3 pick, get shitter. Falcons are still trying for their playoff spot, win the division. It shouldn't be close. It should be at least, I think, a touchdown victory for the Falcons.
And I think maybe the only reason why the line is so low is because how bad Kirk Cousins has been playing. Single-handedly,
these last couple of weeks have been awful.
I think you put that on Kirk, but regardless,
he single-handedly lost them that Chargers game.
Yeah, but I think regardless, he'll take care of business against a bad Raiders team.
Our other Monday night game, though, which I think should actually be a good football game, this at least more entertaining, where the Chicago Bears are traveling to Minnesota to face the Vikings, where the Vikings are a 6.5-point favorite.
Yeah, it's a divisional game, Caden, and, the Bears are trying to be a prideful franchise. They're trying to establish themselves, They're a young team. They got rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. But 6.5 for a divisional game is a long line, Caden.
Yep.
And I just have a feeling the Bears are going to make it sneaky interesting. Even if they don't and it's garbage time and, the what's it called?
Little last-second
touchdown. And that covers with the 6.5. I like it. I like the Bears to be able to cover. They're not winning this football game.
So, I'm with you on this 100%. I mean, we saw last time they played. Vikings leading the whole time. Looking great. Looking like a perfect cover. Then they gave up the touchdown, onside kick, field goal. Ended up only winning by 3 in overtime.
Yeah.
It's out on the cover. Just some stupid stuff like that likes to happen in divisional matchups between two, like basically rivals. Like when you have these big divisional matchups, some weird thing will usually happen in these games that'll make it a close game throughout, even if the Vikings even really dominate this game. I can still see them being able to only win by 5-6 points, and all of a sudden we get our cover.
Yeah, definitely, Caden. Those NFL games are actually extremely exciting. A lot of playoff implications, Caden. We talked about every single one of these matchups affects the playoff and the playoff outlook somehow, some way, or the draft. It's an exciting time to be a football fan.
Yes, it is.
Now, speaking of football, college football, there are some crazy lines for projecting the futures. Tell us about those.
Okay, so if you go on your DraftKings panel, any of these major sports books, you can always find these look-ahead lines. So what we're going to be doing is there's some games where the lines just don't make sense, and if you think a certain team might win or in these opening matchups, it might be a great opportunity to get in those bets now so you can get them before the odds really shift.
Yes.
Starting off, Arizona State. They have their bye this week. They've been looking hot. They will face the winner of the Texas-Clemson game. If Clemson wins this football game, this is one line I just don't get at all. If Clemson wins this football game, Clemson is a 4.5-point favorite over Arizona State.
Caden, I think the logic here is the fact that if Clemson upsets Texas, they're going to have the momentum and the mental capacity about them that they can beat any team in college football. So I think that may be, the initial line. But that being said, coming off a bye, Bo Scatabo, ASU has been rolling. They're on fire. There is very slim chance I think Clemson actually beats Texas, but there's an even slimmer chance they get past ASU, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm like, if this, let's say Clemson does beat my Longhorns, which Longhorns love choking in playoffs like we talked about last week, so it could have possibly happened. But if that's the line, I'm hammering ASU money line without thinking about it. This should be a great game for ASU. Even on the other hand, if Texas wins, they think Texas would be an 11.5-point favorite over ASU.
Which ASU will cover that.
Exactly. ASU, I think, no matter what, when you look at these look-ahead lines, you take them with the points, either matchup, and if they're playing clubs, you take the points and the money line.
I like it.
Because it seems just wrong numbers. Like, if Texas wins, I could see them being more like a 6, 7.
I think 6.5 to 7 is a more respectable
Not
range.
an 11.5-point favorite over ASU, with especially how well they've been playing.
Yes.
Another game where I think the line just is a little off. If we look at Penn State, they get to play this upcoming week in the playoffs. If they win, they will. It's them and SMU. If Penn State wins, they will face Boise State. Penn State would be a 12.5-point favorite right now if they play in Boise State.
To a team with a bye, absolutely disrespectful. Absolutely disrespectful, Caden. And of course, with Genty, that Boise State team can compete with any team in the nation. They've proven that with the game against Oregon. It's just disrespectful to put 12.5 points, and I think, of course, that is a clear as day cover as well.
Especially with, how much I detest Drew Aller.
Who's going to cough the ball up.
Who will cough the ball. And then Michael Madsen, National Genty would find a way to keep that game close.
I like it.
The last couple ones here is with the potential Oregon matchups here. I think, if Ohio State beats Tennessee, Oregon would be a 1.5-point favorite to Ohio State. I think that's too low. I think Oregon is the better football team in this
they are.
matchup based on what we've seen out of Ohio State, especially later in the season.
But, Caden, we've talked about how hard is it
To beat a team twice.
beat a team twice.
Also, though, Ryan Day does not win the big football games.
Yeah, but like I said, you got to take into account
I know.
that playing a team twice in the same season is ridiculously hard.
What about now, though, if Oregon was to face Tennessee, where Oregon was a 6.5 point favorite?
Against Tennessee, you kind of like that, a little more for Oregon because I feel like that's a game they'll be more in control of. I think that's a team they would prefer to play, in my opinion, just because you know what you're going to get out of that Tennessee offense and you kind of know what to expect out of the defense. I think there's less questions and less wow factor of what they may try to come out and try to do against you.
See, I'm kind of on the opposite. If Tennessee is able to beat Ohio State, I think 6.5 is too big of a spread here.
Really?
Especially with how good Tennessee's defense is. I think they'll be able to slow down Dylan Gabriel and that Oregon offense enough to keep it within that touchdown. So I think especially coming off, if they're able to beat an Ohio State Buckeyes team in the playoffs, they're going to be riding that high and be able to come out firing, I think, against Oregon, trying to get that, quick punches to try to pull off the upset. I think they'd be able to keep it close there.
Okay, that's, a little bit of disagreement. But either way, some good calls, some good looks. Obviously, we have no idea how this college football is going to shape off. But if it does, get those lines while you can, while they're ahead. And if you like any of those teams.
ASU, and just so you guys know, if the matchup doesn't happen, your bet will void. So you'll get your money back. So hammer ASU money line against Clemson. And if Texas beats Clemson, you just get your money back.
Yes, you do. Or, place 2 on either ASU to play Clemson or Texas. And then
either way, you'll have that early
extra
big
money
spread.
Back. Yep. Now, Caden, some huge news coming out of the MLB in this early offseason. Let's talk about it.
So, winter meetings are starting, and the stove has been hot. There's been a lot of big signings. We're going to go through a handful here. We're obviously going to start with the biggest one, though. Juan Soto leaving the Yankees to go to the crosstown rival New York Mets on a 15-year, $765 million contract.
People in New York are upset, Caden. New York's obviously upset with the fact that you have Juan Soto, who's so beloved, who some people felt was going to resign.
It seemed like that would be the perfect opportunity for them. Keep him with Aaron Judge in that lineup. But when you get offered $750 million,
reset the MLB market, bigger than Shohei's deal, which, just got signed last offseason. That was already unfathomable. This just goes to show you how much money. I don't know how baseball players generate so much money with, the revenue not being equivalent to the NFL.
The revenue's still really
I know
good.
the revenue's still really high, but the fact that the NFL players aren't
Juan Soto is also, though, he's one of the biggest names in all sports.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree.
And the really big thing is you look at the years. It's 15 years. He's only going to be 26 next season, so this signs him for the rest of his career.
Yes.
He will be a Met the rest of his career. And obviously, you'd assume, unless you're obviously your outliers like Big Papi towards the end of his career stuff, where you don't expect the last handful of years to be good baseball. Or maybe, obviously, you could maybe see him retired by then. But what you're paying for is this next 6 to 8 years where he's going to be
not being on another team.
where he's going to be a top 3 player in baseball, being able to have like a 400 OBP every year.
Yes.
Not like a 900 plus OPS, just be one of the best pure hitters in all of baseball, and just help that team for years to come.
And Kate, not only that, off the pitch or off the field, he's gonna generate so much revenue for the New York Mets because now they have their superstar, right? That's
they already had a superstar in Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, but I'm talking about there's a difference between superstar and a top 3 player in the entire.
No, I agree.
MLB.
I agree.
That's only going to create more fans. It's only going to generate more revenue, and his brand, his marketing, all that attention coming to the Mets. That's what the owners are really paying for in this big contract. I think it's a nice win for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Steve Cohen, who's the richest owner in all 4 major sports, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna spend money. This is what you want to see out of him," and he did what he had to do.
Hey, Dick Monfort, take notes.
Dick Monfort, you sell your team to Stan Kroenke. Sell it to Stan Kroenke. It's the only Colorado team he's missed, besides the Broncos, but he's not getting the Broncos.
He's not getting
Buy the Rockies. The Yankees, though, did end up making a big move just a couple days later.
Mm-hmm.
Max Fried was the most coveted free agent pitcher this offseason, and he signs the largest contract all time for a left-handed pitcher.
Pitcher.
8 years, $218 million for Max Fried to the Yankees.
Yeah, for Yankees, obviously Soto losing sucks, but you're getting so much depth in that bullpen now, Caden.
Rotation.
Correct. But regardless, you're now going to have more options when it comes to playing these different teams and who you're going to be able to send out there and who your closer can be. So, and especially with how viable lefty pitchers are, going against different type of hitters, it's a nice move for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, Max Fried is obviously, one of these top pitchers in baseball. You see him every year in year out. He always leads the league or he's up towards the top league in ground ball rate. He gets strikeouts. So when you're playing at Yankee Stadium where you have the short porch in right field, you need someone who's able to limit fly balls so those cheap home runs can't be given up. And then Max Fried, he's just a gamer. He'll go out there when he's healthy. He's had a couple little injury problems, but other than that, when he's healthy, he's going out there. He's giving you 5+ innings. He has a sub-3 or a 3.3 and lower ERA every single year. He's just a all-around one of the best pitchers in baseball. Another big trade where we saw early in the offseason. So
a little bit of recap.
This is before the Soto deal, actually, was Willy Adames to the San Francisco Giants, 7 years, $182 million to be their new shortstop.
Caden, I mean, for the Giants, this is a team that's been needing to make a move. They're trying to get more pieces. It's a step in the right direction for them. Obviously, this is not going to change their whole entire franchise around. But you're adding, a piece that's needed on that roster, and I think it's a good move for them.
Yeah, I mean, Willy Adames is probably one of those top 5 to 7 shortstops in baseball right now. You pair him on that left side with Matt Chapman, which is great, who just kind of had a little resurgence, especially offensively last year with the Giants, and he's still obviously great with the glove. Adames is a really good shortstop. Everyone was saying who knew for sure where he was going to go out, but then you heard Buster Posey, who's now the new president of baseball operations in San Francisco.
Yeah,
he's like, we're going to go out. We're going to spend money trying to get this team back to the playoffs, but they haven't been since 2021. And you go out and sign one of the top available bats, and you get him locked up for the next couple of years. It's great for your offense, and maybe. So this is actually a funny piece of trivia that some people know. No one has had a 30 home run season for the Giants since Barry Bonds retired.
Oh my gosh.
Willy Adames last year had 32 in Milwaukee. Maybe now coming to Oracle and being able to play a good bit of road games in Coors Field as well.
Yeah.
Maybe he can finally be that first Giant to hit 30 since Bonds.
Good call there, kid.
Just yesterday, we had a huge trade in the baseball landscape where White Sox ace left-handed pitcher Garrett Crochet was traded to the Red Sox for a plethora of prospects, but most notably catcher Kyle Teal, who was their 14th overall first-round pick just last year. So he was their top prospect. If you look at MLB Pipeline or any of the rankings, Kyle Teal was their number one prospect. Now they're like, no, we need pitching. We want Garrett Crochet. You send him a couple other prospects. And now you get him who's obviously electric. You see in the first half of last season, he has those insane strikeout numbers. I think he was around a little over like 11 K per nine last year, which is like prime Chris Sale numbers. So that's amazing. But he also has these big injury concerns. He's had Tommy John. And the White Sox were scared. They wanted to keep his trade value because they knew the team was off and they would be able to get some pieces for him. That in the second half of the season after the All-Star break, they're letting him throw about 4 innings max to start, which is not, I mean, it's good for the White Sox that they were able to keep him healthy and be able to get this big trade. But now you're still kind of concerned with the health problems with Garrett Crochet. Will he be able to remain healthy for a full extended season?
Caden, those are going to be the questions that we are waiting to see answered, as always, with these, off-season trades and deals. Because really, we could talk all day long about how we think it affects the teams. Are they good moves? Are they bad decisions? But until they actually get on the field and show if they are worth the contract, we really don't know. Yeah. That's kind of the exciting thing about sports and the exciting thing about this time.
Yeah, just a couple other moves I'm going to quickly go by here. So Nathan Eovaldi, who was one of the top, more free agent pitchers, it was like Max Fried, and then really he's no one expected Eovaldi to get a big contract. A lot of people, though, didn't expect him to stay with the Rangers. He signed a 3-year, $75 million deal to stay with the Rangers, which is interesting because he's still a really good pitcher. When you get him in October, he's going to compete. He's going to dominate. So it's interesting for them after such a down year after the World Series that now you bring him back. You're going to have a healthy DeGrom hopefully next year. You're going to have Max Scherzer. They could have a really solid rotation to go along with one of the better lineups in all of baseball. So that's, I think, a good move for them. Just kind of surprising that he was actually able to stay with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Another one, though, which I think is a pretty good fit, is Tyler O'Neill. He went to the Baltimore Orioles. Everyone was wondering where he's going. He had a really great year with the Red Sox last year. Had 31 home runs. Was able to really use the Green Monster to his effectiveness. And now, though, you're going to Baltimore where you've seen these last handful of years where this deep left field wall has taken away so many home runs. So much so that at the start of the offseason, the Orioles announced they're actually going to move the wall back in to where it was before they moved it back 3 years ago. Because, I mean, no one liked it. It was a death trap for every right-handed hitter. They'd hit what would easily be a home run in every other ballpark. Nice warning track fly out for the outfitter. So they're moving back in, which is great. So now you have this outfield and just lineup where just a full of big bangers. You're still waiting to see about Santander and Corbin Burns with the Orioles. You'd hope, preferably, I'd say you bring back Corbin Burns because you have all these pieces offensively already, all these young prospects as well who are ready to get called up, make their move to the majors. That obviously Santander had 44 home runs, third most in the league last year. That's like, he's amazing. He would be an amazing piece to have. But when you have all these young guys, you don't really need him. You can allocate your money elsewhere, especially with someone like a Corbin Burns and obviously adding Tyler O'Neill for about $50 million. Another, I'd say, interesting one, because it's just weird. Luis Severino, who had a pretty decent year with the Mets last year, signed a 3-year, $67 million contract. None of that's that weird that you'd expect someone like that to get about that type of AAV. But the weird part is that's the highest free agent contract the Oakland A's have ever given out in their entire history.
I think that kind of sums up the Oakland A's history, Caden.
Mm-hmm.
The town of Oakland just talk about fall off. I mean, it never started up high in the first place, but every year, Oakland, the team's leaving, you know, the disrespect that the county has showed to their teams, the fans being mad, it's just a debacle in Oakland, Caden. That is no surprise to me when we talk about a franchise that's just been bad.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, the A's have the second most, or second or third, I don't know, remember exactly, World Series wins of all time, though. They were great.
They were great, yeah. They used to be great.
They had that three-peat in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Back with all that, and then they had these great teams in the 2010s. They were able to make the playoffs year in, year out. But then you have, I know we talk about Dick Monfort, how he needs to sell the team. He's awful. He's probably the second worst owner in baseball, though, behind John Fisher. What he did to Oakland is just awful. Everyone's like, and now they're trying to move to Vegas. They don't want to be able to do that for at least another year or two.
Yeah.
So now they get to play in a AAA stadium in Sacramento next year. So they're just
it's a debacle.
It's a debacle. They're just a franchise that needs new ownership.
They need cleansing. Yeah,
they
need a restart.
Yeah.
Which sucks because, like, yeah, exactly. This is a historic franchise that dominated in the 70s. You know, much like I hate to say it, but the Raiders.
Yeah.
Much like the Raiders in Oakland. Oakland was that's why I don't think for the younger audience who may not understand, Oakland was a mecca. You know, the Warriors.
The Warriors.
Oakland has
and then the Warriors
in sports, but all the teams are just leaving, gone. Poor relationship between the owners, the city, the fans, and it sucks for that community. But at the end of the day,
they're still big fans.
Yes, they've always been big sports fans. But the teams are gone. It's going down. It's a disaster, and this really sucks to see.
You know, last move, though, I think we should mention here is Clay Holmes. He left the Yankees to go to the Mets on a 3-year, $38 million contract. It's going to be interesting how he's using this bullpen because you saw he was the Yankees closer for most of the season last year. He had a couple blunders, and Aaron Boone then demoted him to the 8th inning to the setup role. You saw the same thing, though, in New York this year. Edwin Diaz was coming back from his ACL injury, being the highest paid reliever in MLB history.
Yeah.
And even he got demoted from the closer role throughout the season because of how bad he'd been in these safe situations. So now you have Edwin Diaz, who's still electric. Clay Holmes, who's he's a really good pitcher. I think Yankees fans really in particular were just too hard on him because he's still a good pitcher. It's just going to be interesting to see how Carlos Mendoza utilizes this bullpen, whether it be you have Diaz as your closer and Holmes as your setup man, or if you flip it. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but I think it's a good move for the Mets, another step to building that bullpen and try to get them back to the playoffs and try to build on their NLCS appearance from last year.
Yeah, Caden. Once again, it is so early to even be thinking about baseball. Still got a couple months before that spring season starts getting up. But we had to give you guys the news, the updates, and, of course, hear Caden's thoughts on all of it. Any other final comments or concerns?
No, I mean, yeah, just make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, share with your friends, families, neighbors, anyone. Just share the pod.
Share the pod.
Like, everything, all the above, because a lot more Untouchaballs coming your way.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.